In 1324, one man went on vacation and crashed the price of gold. For 12 years, he gave away so much money in 3 months in one city that money itself stopped working properly. Every rich list you've ever seen has a number at the top. His entry doesn't. Today, we're going to try to write one. First, the leaderboard. Elon Musk. This June, briefly the first trillionaire in history. Weeks later, the trackers can't even agree. Forbes says around 700 billion. Bloomberg says closer to $1 trillion. John D. Rockefeller, $900 million in 1913. Adjusted for prices, 28 billion. Adjusted for his share of the economy, over 600 billion. Same man. 3 numbers. Remember that trick? We'll need it, because the man at the top has no number at all. Mansa Musa, ruler of the Mali Empire from 1312, and the strongest claim ever made to the title. Richest human being who ever lived. Here's what he actually owned. West Africa, early 1300s. The gold mines of Bambouk and Brou sat inside Musa's borders, and at that moment, Mali was producing nearly half of all the gold in the known world. Half. Not half of a market. Half of the metal that was money. Everywhere from Cairo to London. And every gram that moved, the king taxed. How did he get the job? This is the part nobody tells you. Musa wasn't supposed to be king. The king before him gave up the throne for the ocean. According to the story Musa himself told in Cairo, the king before him became obsessed with one question. Does the ocean have another side? He sent 400 ships west, loaded with men, gold, and years of supplies. One captain came back. He described a river in the middle of the sea, a current that swallowed every ship that entered it. He alone had turned around. The king didn't believe him. So he built 2,000 ships, put himself on the flagship, sailed west into the Atlantic, and was never seen again. No wreck, no word, nothing. The throne passed to Musa. The richest fortune in human history changed hands because one man bet it all on the horizon and lost. 12 years later, Musa made his move. The pilgrimage to Mecca measured 60,000 people, including 12,000 servants dressed in silk, around 100 camels, each hauling 300 pounds of gold dust. Historians put the total near 18 tons of gold, carried on foot and hoof across the Sahara. In July 1324, all of this arrived in Cairo. And for 3 months, Musa did one thing. He gave gold to every official, gold to every shrine, gold to people who simply asked. His camp bought souvenirs at any price sellers dared to name, and then Cairo's money broke. Before Musa, 1 mithqal of gold traded for 25 silver dirhams. By the time he left, 22, and falling. The historian Al-Umari, who interviewed eyewitnesses, wrote that gold was depressed in value and stayed down for about 12 years. Think about what that means. Central banks move prices with committees and trillion-dollar tools. Musa did it by walking through town in a generous mood. One tourist, one season, a decade of damage. It's the only time in recorded history that a single individual personally crashed the price of gold. And here's the first paradox. He didn't break Cairo by taking anything. He broke it by giving. Every gift made gold more common, and everyone's savings a little smaller. Generosity, at that scale, isn't charity anymore. It's monetary policy, and nobody voted for it. It gets stranger. On the way home, the richest man in history ran out of money. He'd given away too much. So Musa did the one thing missing from his legend. He borrowed from Cairo's merchants at rates so vicious they collected 700 dinars for every 300 lent. The wealthiest human ever recorded, taking the medieval version of a payday loan. Now the paradox that breaks the whole leaderboard. 18 tons of gold, the hoard that wrecked an economy, is worth, at today's gold price, about $2.3 billion. 2.3. That wouldn't crack the top 1,000 fortunes alive right now. So either Musa wasn't rich, or we're measuring wrong. We're measuring wrong. We're measuring wrong. Wealth isn't a stack, it's a share. Today, 18 tons of gold is a rounding error, because the world holds oceans of money. In 1324, gold was the money, and Musa controlled the source of half of it. Imagine one person, today, owning half the world's money supply, plus the printer, which is why the famous number is fake. You've seen it. Mansa Musa, $400 billion. That figure came from a 2012 celebrity-website estimate, and historians have called it pulled out of thin air. The honest answer is stranger than any figure. His wealth was incalculable, not too big to count, built on a world too different to convert. So here's the zoom out. Stack the contenders. Rockefeller, a fortune worth about 1.5% of America's entire economy. Musk, $750 billion on a volatile week. Now Musa. His column doesn't stack. It spreads across the map, through every gold coin from Mali to Mecca, minted from ground he ruled. They had fortunes. He had the supply. Europe noticed. In 1375, Catalan mapmakers drew Africa with one giant figure at its center. A king on a golden throne, holding a nugget of gold like an apple. That image is how much of Europe first learned Mali existed. The advertisement worked. A century later, Portuguese ships came looking for the source, which leaves our appraisal. Final answer, no number. Because past a certain size, wealth stops being a number on a list. It becomes the weather. something everyone else lives inside. Musa's fortune had a climate. Cairo spent 12 years in it. One man, half the world's gold, a 12-year dent in prices from giving, and a throne that exists because 2,000 ships sailed west and never came back. That's the true scale of the richest human ever. But it raises a modern question. If one fortune can bend an economy just by moving, what happens if you tax every billionaire at 90%? That's next time. Subscribe and bring a calculator.